You do, yeah. If you're allowed.
Oh. I'm sitting on the board.
I don't know, I'm just. We saw.
I like it more because he has a value. And you can help us. And it's Jordan, He's got a couple of well, is that up to you guys? Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think it's like, I think it's just, I think it's just on tape.
It's an employee of the town, and I don't think that they consider. Okay, all right, 6 o'clock. All right, can you all rise for the pledge of allegiance, please? Someone lead us?
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, so seated. All right, attendance. All right, Tim Kelly, Councilman Tim Kelly.
Yeah.
Councilman Gregory Simpson, here. Councilperson Diana Klein.
Here.
Attorney, Matt Jankowski. Present. Deputy Supervisor John Perry. Present. All right, Deputy Dowery is not here today, she's not feeling well. First thing is, approve the minutes of the last meeting. Have all the members read the minutes? All right. Any
You want me to make the motion?
Yes.
I'll make a motion.
Any discussion?
I'll second it.
Sorry about that. Any discussion? All right, all in favor? All opposed? Okay, now what I want to do right now is we have public comment coming next, but we have a presentation right now from Audiora, and I will get that done, so they have to stay here, listen to the whole thing, so,
I thought you would do the highway.
yeah, let them go for executive leave. All right, so you have Superintendent Victoria McLaren and my track runner, Vicky Pietrowski. Valerie,
It's
sorry.
Valerie's story now. Pietrowski.
There might not be. There's one that doesn't have a smash.
Just
Oh, there's no, because things are done.
Does everybody have a copy of the presentation at the table? No. Okay. Good evening. Thank you so much for continuing to allow us to present to you all each year. We very much appreciate it. So on the presentation, if you flip to the first side, we thought we'd just start with an update on the status of the district consolidation that has been happening or has been in the works, hasn't happened yet. But State Ed has approved our 24-25 school year district-wide grade configuration. So the Phoenicia Elementary School will be closing at the end of this year. 5th and 6th graders, the current 5th and 6th graders, who will be 6th and 7th graders next year, will be moved to the middle school in September. So the middle school will be a 6-8 middle school. The current Phoenicia kindergarten through 3rd grade will move to Bennett next year, and the incoming kindergarten will be there. So Bennett, next year, Bennett will house K through 4 of half the district, and the 5th grade will be the last cohort that is the entire district. So Bennett will be a K5. Next year, Woodstock will be a K4. Their 3rd graders, their current 3rd graders will rise to 4th grade and remain in the Woodstock building with the incoming kindergartners. And then when the combined 5th grade cohort that will be at Bennett next year moves to the middle school the following year, Woodstock will become a K5 and Bennett will become a K5. On the next page, you have our actually, does anybody have any questions about that?
Yeah, I have a question. Woodstock is from K5 for 1 year only? They stay open?
The plan now is that we will get to a central campus, we're hoping, by 2028, but we have to go through the whole plan for that. As you know, that's a long process, so, they will be a K-5 until we are ready and able to become a central campus. So our proposed budget for this coming school year is, $62,325,500, which is an increase of a little over $1 million, which is a 1.64% increase, which is actually a very respectable low increase, I believe, based on just rising costs in the world. There will be an additional proposition on the ballot for capital project, and it's really just to ask the voters to approve us to use money that we already have in our capital reserve to ensure that projects that we have planned can be completed within budget. We have some concerns with the price of capital projects and the way they've come in recently. So we want to have a little bit of extra money just to make sure that we can complete the projects that we have planned. If it's not needed, that money will return to the capital reserve.
What is the enrollment? Like, how many students year over year? What's the change in the number of students?
I think we're gonna drop minimally this coming year, but we're gonna still be a little bit over 1,000
Oh, district.
total district-wide.
I just have a question going back. For the 5th and 6th graders that are gonna be moved, are they gonna be bused with the high school? Or is it busing separate?
So next year, they will be 6th and 7th graders, and they will be bused with all of the high schools. Right now, the buses have 7th through 12th graders, and next year they will have 6th through 12th graders.
Okay, but not 5th graders.
No, I'll correct this slide. She's referring to, this is my business specialist slide, but she's referring to this year's current 5th and 6th graders, who will move up next year as 6th and 7th graders.
Okay.
Okay. So some of the budget highlights we thought worth noting. We are continuing to upgrade all of our classroom technology. We are continuing to renovate classrooms to make them active learning spaces. And so that includes refurbishing the classroom, getting all new technology in the classroom, and getting all new flexible seating and different seating options so that there can be a lot of small group instruction. There can be round circle instruction. Our classrooms don't look like the classrooms that most of us in this room grew up in. Most of the classrooms that we grew up in were lined with straight desks and chairs all in a row. And these classrooms, when you walk in them, it's inspiring. So we've been doing a chunk of classrooms each summer, and we're going to continue with that. Obviously, continuing with extra after-school homework help, all of our extracurricular opportunities. We are rolling out our multi-tiered system of support process, and that is a way to really look at each child and look at them as a whole child and bring all of their test scores together, bring all of their classwork together, bring in their social emotional learning into one system. And that's the Branching Minds data system that we are putting into place. We've been working on that all year. It'll roll out next year. We are continuing to provide extra PD for our staff in multisensory reading and math. And continuing funding our mental health support. So we currently have partnerships with Astor. We provide parent training and support, and we have a contract with Morningside for our K-6 population. Yeah.
Listen, so how is your math and science? Oh,
How are our grades?
yeah.
That's a whole presentation. I think what I would like to say is, if you look at our rank among the county, we do well, but there is always room for improvement. The next slide talks about the proposed transportation contract. Our transportation contract, that's currently in place expires at the end of this school year, so we put out a bid for a new transportation contract. First Student was the winning bidder, and so in order to award them the full 5-year contract, it needs to be specifically included in all of the information of the budget with the projected 5-year costs. So as you can see, the 5-year contract costs, 5 years rolled into one are listed here. The thing to also note is that this cost estimate is based on 6 less bus runs, which is a product of no longer bringing students to Phoenicia. And so with that 6 less bus runs, we've actually seen an increase that is over $500,000 less than it would have been if Phoenicia were still going to be operating next year. So our transportation contract is going up, but not as much as it would have. We've saved over $500,000 already.
Is that the same contract that's doing it now, the same company?
It is the same company that is currently servicing our district.
And do you own the buses and then hire the drivers, or you hiring for them?
So we do still operate a small department on our own. And although it's been discussed over the years whether we should just eliminate our department and go forward contract, we are very loath to do that because having our own staff, even though it's a small portion of what actually services the district, it allows us to have a lot of flexibility. So the next slide explains what we are projecting for our tax levy increase, and keeping in mind that
I got it for you.
keeping in mind that the tax levy is actually set in August, but we do provide a projection to the best of our ability. So our projection with this budget is that we will have a 3% tax levy increase. And that is below the tax levy limit, which is the maximum that we are allowed to raise by law. Our tax levy limit would be 3.64%. So we are below that. The next slide kind of shows historically the tax levy increases for the past number of years. And you can see that we ranged from 3.1 on the high side to 1.4 on the low side. Sorry.
That's okay.
And so the whole presentation's upside down, huh? So we create this chart to be town specific for these presentations so that it's much more appropriate for each town instead of just looking at the district-wide tax levy information. So this kind of tracks for you over the past number of years the assessment of your entire town and how that has changed, your portion of our district-wide tax levy and how that has changed. So even though we may have had a tax levy increase last year, of 2% in the 23-24 school year, in the town of Hurley, the tax levy increase was only 1.63%, and your tax rate changed by 0.75%. So it's kind of a complicated mathematical gymnastic exercise, but when you look at our district-wide increases, it doesn't always translate directly to each town. And so we wanted to have this chart here for your reference, just so that everyone can see that it doesn't always mean 3% for one person. 3% for the district doesn't mean that each town is going to experience a 3% increase, but we only collect 3%.
So, we are going to be doing an equalization rate, basically 100%. So you're going to get some phone calls.
It happens, but we actually prefer when the equalization rates are 100% because then it's less of a
It's
calculation.
going to be this initial year.
Yeah. And that has, it's been, I know, I appreciate that, and it's good to know going into it, but it's much better to have, to be at 100% than to have the equalization rate imposed by the state. And it's their estimate of what should be.
The conversation that we had with the state and the league was that based on going to those 100% utilization rate, the impact for taxes will actually reduce on.
Potentially for us, but what's gonna happen is because they have multiple people in their school district, there's other people that are below 100% are actually taking out some stuff.
Right.
Yes, all of the towns are interrelated
Yeah,
and,
no, it's already here.
yeah. So this pie chart shows you kind of the budget components, the way school districts depict them at least. And so obviously the most striking thing from my perspective is that between employee benefits and instruction, that is the lion's share of our budget. And so, we are driven by people because in order to educate kids, we hire people. And the employee benefits, I think it's important to recognize that we fund the benefits for active employees as well as retirees. And so at this point in time, we are actually funding 252 active employee health insurance plans and 353 retiree health insurance plans. So the legacy costs of our business are pretty extraordinary sometimes.
This stuff seems rather on the, I mean, this is clearly, this is historic, this is not something that's, right, it's like the school district has to front or has this responsibility for that.
It is in their contracts for their unions.
Like the Blue Cross policy that they might have as an employee, when they reach Medicare age, they're still actually getting that policy, but it's being used as like a part of that.
Yeah, well, I understand, but I don't, this is
It's part
way,
of
way
their-
above my pay grade.
Oh, okay.
So,
It's included in their union contracts that once they retire,
So.
the school district
the
has
school
to pick it
district
up.
has to, we do it as they're active as well. We carry them.
The whole percentage, the right part. It's not 100%.
For individuals,
Depends on
it's
the-
100%.
Even
For,
retirees?
for active employees, it's not 100%. You know what, I shouldn't answer that in general terms because each contract has different terms and sometimes when we negotiate, there will be a change. For people who are hired after this date, it'll be this percentage. Everybody before that has a different percentage. For people who retire after this date, so when you have multiple contracts with multiple terms, I can't really,
Without all saying.
yeah, I can't accurately say everybody is.
Tier one.
So the state requires us to provide our budget in this very specific three-part format. If you've ever looked at our budget in the detailed form, it's probably about 18 pages long with the very individual line items, but the state decides which line items fall into which of these three categories. And so when we run this report, you can see that as it should be, program is a little over 80% of our expense. And that's how it should be. Within our budget every year, for a number of years, we have included funds within the budget in a transfer to capital line so that we can do smaller capital projects on an annual basis. This budget has $500,000 within that line. So this is not something that will be voted on separately. It's included in the general fund budget. And the projects that we are looking to use with this money are doing some corridor ceiling repair in the middle school, high school, upgrading the Route 28 crosswalk. If you've been up by the middle high school recently, you know that we're trying to make that safer. We're working with the state. We've moved the crosswalk, but we need some additional upgrades to it. Just some parking lot repair patches at the middle high school. And then we wanted to set aside a little bit of additional money next year for the transition of the middle school going from a 7-8 to a 6-8, and for the Bennett transition, just in case there are things that we didn't anticipate. We've got a lot of things happening this year to prepare for this transition, but as you know, when you do large changes, sometimes you get into a situation and you discover things that need to be remedied. So we're going to set aside a little bit of money for that.
I guess before you get into the capital projects, I just wanted to ask, so operationally, what percentage of students graduate? What's your graduation?
Off the top of my head, I want to say it's about 91, but I
Oh,
would have
on
to,
state average.
yes.
Okay. And I guess the other question is, like, nationally, people spend about $14,347 per pupil. New York state average is $26,571 per pupil, and you're spending $62,325 per pupil. I guess you can explain why the differential.
Yes, at least part of it. Part of it, if you look at the structure of our district and all of the reasons for why we are trying to consolidate. If you look at the analysis of districts our size,
So you're saying with that, the structure of the district as in, you have increased operational costs due to the number of extra buildings,
so if you,
transportation.
yeah, transportation is an expense, and we do have,
It's like $4 million.
we do have
It's still-
transportation services that a lot of other districts don't offer, like our late bus runs. That we actually have 2 late bus runs because we recognize that our students are very rural and very sparse, and they likely wouldn't be able to access after-school activities if we didn't provide transportation.
Okay.
But the other really compelling piece of data is that our district has occupied the same footprint with Woodstock Elementary, Phoenicia Elementary, Bennett Elementary, the middle school, and the high school since 2004. Our enrollment was over 2,000 then. We are now at about 1,000.
So back then, we were talking a little over, so yeah, now we're talking a little.
So as we continue to run these buildings, and they are wonderful buildings, and we have maintained them, and we have incredible staff in every building, but it's very difficult to find efficiencies when you have that many campuses.
You
And
need
so
to-
you need to staff them appropriately. You need to provide the supports for students in every one of the buildings. You need to make sure that every one of the buildings is safe and is maintained appropriately.
So is-
Transportation,
I guess my question really is there a long-term plan to bring this back into line with like state averages?
well, so as of June of this year, Phoenicia Elementary will be no longer utilized as an elementary building, and our long-term goal, as the board approved in their resolution last year, is to come to a central campus in 2028. There's a lot of work in between now and then. This year we've really focused on trying to do the transition for our Phoenicia students and families and faculty and staff to Bennett, and our middle school kids. We're adding that grade, and that's a big change for our students and for our families. So the fewer campuses that we have to operate and the fewer campuses that we have to bring kids to, the more efficiencies we'll be able to create. And the other thing that is also driving us to really work towards this is we have a very senior workforce in this state. There is a teacher shortage in the country. I think there's a teacher shortage, and we need to get to a place where we don't need to staff all of these buildings because it's really hard. Is that helpful?
Yeah. I just was trying to understand, because it's like,
Yes,
it's way out of whack, basically.
So the duration of time in order for them to come up with the concept of closing Bennett, or I'm sorry, Phoenicia, was over multiple months where they had multiple peoples come in and decide what best to fit the footprint of the district.
My sister runs
This happens to be the one that they decided on, but I think moving forward, there potentially could be other schools that are consolidated.
eventually.
Well, not only that, though, the size of the district is large. This is the second largest school district in New York State.
oh,
And you
we're
know-
second largest,
Not
but
anymore?
There's 7 now.
It's so
because
large.
we are really large.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not consolidated.
As far as.
No, we can't.
Right.
But,
Still 400 square miles.
yeah, we're still very large, and I think we have one student for every 5 square miles. If you extrapolate it in that way. So it's a lot of driving.
Put teachers on the bus. They can teach them all.
It's never right.
Moving along.
Video courses.
So when you, come to vote on the budget, when you cast your vote on the budget, you will see Proposition 1 is for our expenditure budget. Proposition 2, as I said, is asking for authorization to spend money from our capital reserve. And again, if you don't need that money, it will go back to the capital reserve. And the last thing that you will be voting on is, as every year, board candidates. We have 2 seats that, the terms have ended this year. Trustee Story is one of those. Both positions will start July 1st. They are 3-year terms, and petitions for those seats are due on Monday. And I believe that there will be a meet the candidates night on May 9th. So feel free to tune into that if you want to get a sense of who the candidates are that you will be choosing. And something that we don't like to talk about and has not happened in Ontario in almost 20 years, would be a contingency budget. So if the proposed budget was not supported by the voters and failed in May, we have a few options. We can submit the same budget a second time. We can submit a different budget, or we could go directly to a contingency budget. If we were going to hold a second vote, it would be on June 18th. If we did that and it was defeated, then we would be required to go to a contingency budget. And so the rules for contingency have been in place for a long time, but they added to it when we had the tax levy limit come into play. And now if we have a contingency budget, we literally cannot raise the tax levy any more than it was the year prior. And so our proposed tax levy is 1.4 million more than our current tax levy. So that would require us to make some significant cuts. The other rules that apply are we would not be allowed to purchase equipment. I don't know where, it's a very archaic rule. It's been in place for as long as I've been in the district, for 20 years. That would immediately remove $450,000 in the budget. But also there's an administrative component cap, which that 3-part budget that we showed with the pie chart, the administrative component of the budget is not allowed to increase from the prior year. And also we would have to charge fees for facilities use. We have a lot of community use of our buildings. We have town reps come in and basketball leagues. We have the PTA, the Booster Club, all of those things. We would have to charge for the use of our buildings, which we never want to do. Next slide, please. So, for the budget timeline, on May 7th, at our Board of Education meetings, we will hold our required public hearing for the budget. On May 21st, we will have the budget vote and board elections from 2 to 9 p.m. Voting can take place at any elementary school within the district that is operational. So Bennett, Phoenicia, or Woodstock. And in the distant past, you had to vote in your designated elementary school. That's no longer the case. Vote whichever of these three you are nearby, please go vote. And then if we were required, because the budget didn't pass, we would have a second vote on June 8th. That's it.
May I ask what's the savings by closing the Phoenicia school on a dollar level?
So we are right now estimating it's about $1 million, but that is a very conservative estimate. What we did was when we decided to close that building, we wanted to be very clear that it wasn't a situation in which we were trying to slash and burn. So we were not looking to lay people off. We are looking as our faculty and staff get to retirement age. Each time someone retires, we look at that position and decide whether or not we need to refill it. So I think as we move forward and we are able to gain more efficiencies, that number will grow naturally.
No, it's really. What's the plans?
We are trying to find a next viable life for it. We haven't arrived at what that might be yet, but right now we are really focused on making this transition positive and successful. Our kids and our families and our faculty and staff are the priority in the moment.
You expired all your ARPA grants? The ARPA,
Yeah.
grants will expire. Have you kept anybody in the hirings from that?
We tried not to hire people.
Okay. So
In
you
those
use further
grants.
application.
Yeah, that was a dangerous practice
Right.
that
No, I agree.
some people got
A lot
into.
of schools are in trouble with that.
Yeah.
Making cuts.
Strategically, the administration side, they want to use that money for.
My last question is the areas across the street on 28 is the flood prone areas. And I believe the school is up high enough. That's not found here. So are some of your projects as far as crosswalks and stuff, some of those facilities to go to are still going to be accessible over the next several years?
I mean, the crosswalk really just goes across
To the little plaza,
to that little plaza, not down to.
right? Not plaza's up high enough, so that's.
It's a bridge you're talking about?
No, it's just a
No,
crosswalk.
it's just a crosswalk, but
Sorry, grade level.
it's been moved to, if you were familiar with the crosswalk before, it went from kind of a grassy area to a place on the other side that was also not part of a parking lot or a driveway, or it was just like,
Or another sidewalk or anything.
yeah, it kind of went to nowhere, and there was signage, but not great signage, so we're working with DOT, and we're gonna install flashing signs. I mean, we can't get a light, but we can make it more visible and more safe.
ADA compliant, I don't think that's ADA compliant, because we'll have a crosswalk where sidewalk exists.
They are putting in sidewalks on the other side, so
Very cool. That's not what you're about to say.
no, it is not.
It's very cool. Do what you can.
State highway.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us. We very much appreciate it, and please vote.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Yes. Thank you for coming. All right, next thing is the public comment. I make a motion to open public comment. Any discussion? Okay, all right, all in favor? Opposed? So be it, so, okay. You don't have a list of, Tracy? You have a list?
I believe George was the only one, so it's,
I'm the only one.
George is the only one.
Hi, everybody. My name is George Palabakakis. I live in 19 Morgan Hill Road. and I have issues with my neighbors. Property restriction, 19 Morgan Hill Road. Total acres 1.00. That's 1 acre, right? And on the bottom, owner, Oliver C. Sharp, 19 Morgan Hill Road, New York, 12043. And then over here, I've in there, what you call the picture borders, October 19, 2015, Oliver Care Sharp, 89 of Morgan of Hurley, and the balance says Hurley again, Hurley Sharp, Estate 19, he put it off Morgan Hill Road, died on Monday, October 19, 2015, on the Cotton Hill Data Center. Blah, 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 blah. However, husband did employ, he'd been employed for many years at Worcester Charbons. And then,
Do you want me to read what? Do you want me to read here? Okay, show me, okay. Okay, so surviving is her friend and caregiver, Laura Benton.
Yeah, okay. Laura mentioned he was a caregiver, and if he gave her to the property was in here, this one here.
Okay, so he gave the property
Yeah.
at 19 Morgan Hill Road
Right,
to you,
no,
To-
to her daughter,
to her daughter,
yeah.
okay?
Laura
Laura
mentioned.
Okay,
Now they have 4 kids,
they have 4 kids
with a boyfriend,
and a boyfriend
right? And 6 dogs,
and 6 dogs.
yeah. Mobile home, 60 by 12.
60 by 12 mobile home.
Yeah, how they can live in 4 kids, 2 adults, and 6 dogs on a mobile home, 12 by 60. No septic tanking, no.
What did you close? Hang on, no what?
Septic.
No septic tank, okay?
No leach field.
No leach field.
Before Oliver Sharp died, I can see next to my neighbor, they have a backhoe and they take it there by maybe 10 foot, a ditch. And they put the stones in there. And that's why it was a rich field. One person, I guess it was okay. Now,
So
They dug a French drain, right? They
Right,
dug what's known as a French drain,
sort of, yes, and he said for one person that was okay.
a non-compliant, right,
now,
non-compliant septic.
4 kids and 2 adults,
And they're still using that.
Yes,
I guess.
What's the address of that?
19 here.
And he lived at 25?
I know the property.
You live at 25 Morgan Hill?
Who knows about it?
Behind you,
He needs to get a call out there and board out.
behind you.
Not now, all of it, now.
You'd like something done about this, right?
George?
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 Yeah.
George, if you come in tomorrow,
Okay, I'll check it out. I'll see if I can get in. That one, I see my son is supposed to drive it here, I don't know if he was, I don't do it, so I didn't say that, I'll see.
Okay, this is what you want, right? Okay.
You can make a copy, if you don't.
No, you know what, no, what you should do is come back tomorrow
Yeah.
and talk to the building inspector.
I did, yeah, I told him, no, I think, the person that sent it to me this one here, also, they have a little note over there. And then it says, also, I sent the building inspector at the town hall, so I saw,
How long ago did you send it?
Yeah, I
How
mean,
long ago did you send it? to the inspector?
maybe about a month and a half or something like that, more or less.
I would also recommend Ulster County Department of Health. Just with the septic, that's gonna be the best place to head with that and probably get that addressed the fastest. Ulster County Department of Health.
George, give us your phone number.
I'm gonna make a copy.
3890.
We'll just tell the building inspector tomorrow and ask him to reach out to you.
Okay.
And Tracy, I'm gonna give you a copy of this.
I have it here,
So,
but-
you have it?
Oh, I'm gonna save it for the record, yes.
Right, that's the one that's on for each week.
My son or something like that, is not,
I have it right here. I'm letting them read it and I'm gonna make them a copy.
what are the other one? Yeah,
This one?
no, another one. So the business person.
All right, let me go make a copy of this for them.
That one, or you get this one too, I make it all three, please.
Sure,
Oh, this one here, yeah,
sure.
this one here, for the business inspector, here.
Is that that one?
It's not active, my son, he does the way I was supposed to.
Okay.
Thank you.
You need to get a hold of, Matt Leesmer at the Department of Health, he's the septic.
My name is on my door, and I have here. My wife, he got bit by a dog when she was little, and they're terrified by dogs. They bought the dog with Horney. Many times, he came, he gave the citation. And somehow the dogs, they get out of the fence. And they come after my wife and then grandchildren. My wife today, he take her up my grandson for the preschool. When he get home, I gotta go outside with the broom to chase the dog because she's terrified she's gonna get bit again. And also my grandson, she's afraid, he was screaming. And she called the dog warning. He get tired. He says, I'm not gonna bother anymore. I don't want to hear anymore. Hello? That's your job, the dog warning. It's for the dogs, right? I'm not gonna get any more phone calls. I don't want to hear anymore. I have to hear.
George, thank you for coming to us. We're gonna help you. Okay. Thank you for coming to see us. I'm gonna help you. I will personally help you. Yes. And members of this board will do the same.
Okay, George, here
Thank
are
you.
your papers back.
Yeah, thank you.
And there is the number for the person at the Board of Health if you want to call the Board of Health. And I'm gonna give the board the copies that I have.
I did in the past, but it says it's nothing there. Yeah, it was one person, right?
Okay.
The other person we need to be conversation. This is Ulster County SPCA. This is by the mayor.
Okay, anybody else?
Yeah.
And turn the whole thing on.
Yeah.
All right, anybody else want to make a comment?
Why you open? I said, go get on the back.
All right, seeing no one wants to make a comment, make a motion to close public comments. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? So be it. Your son. He did. All right, what I want to do right now is, presentation, Mike Schultes, the High Department.
All right.
It's on a little bit.
It's on a little bit. The only reason I stayed for me, I wanted to, first report again about the, bucket that I talked about the last meeting for the 4-in-1 bucket that goes on the John Deere loader. We're gonna try to repair ours. It's beyond repair. The mechanic found a new bucket in Pennsylvania for $3,500. The conundrum is that I was just told that our 2 new trucks that we ordered back in 2022 may not be until the end of the year, so that means we're gonna have to keep our trucks updated. So I wanted to come to the board to see if it was plausible with you all that we take the money for the $3,500 out of Capital Fund 3H in case I have to use the funds that I have in my repair budget to keep the trucks running for the year so that I didn't go over budget. If at the end of the year that I have that money left over in the account, which, I mean, John, you know how much money I gave you back. I'm just worried about overspending on the budget line. So, like I said, I can buy it now out of my fund, or if you guys are agreeable to put it out of 3H, we can do that. But I'll leave it up to you either way. So again, I'm just a little nervous about going over budget and keeping the trucks going, because at the end of last year, I think we put.
Was it 35,000?
3,500. Last year, I think at the end of the year, we ended up putting $18,000 or $20,000 in the truck 17. It was crazy and wild. We had to put a new head on it and some other things. So just my thoughts being that, you know, I used to sit in your seat, that it's better to sit there and not overextend the budget and use the capital fund. And then at the end of the year, when you have the money left over, then you can put it back in to replenish that money. That's just my thoughts. You can make that decision.
You want to make a discussion on this? Make a decision on this?
Yeah, I mean, I think we can put it in with the resolutions.
Yeah. And again, like I said, if you want, I'll write a resolution up for the next meeting.
Okay, all right, yeah.
But it's on hold right now, so I have to order it, so I'll pay it out of my budget for now, and then we transfer that out. and then-
Yeah, I think that's more appropriate. Just make the resolution and,
Yeah, I'll give.
Yeah.
And,
but you're gonna make the resolution.
for the next
For the
meeting,
next
right now I'll purchase it out of my account, and then we'll do it.
Yep.
The other thing I want to say is we started the Kimball Terrace project, and, of course, the weather's been wonderful. Greg has been a trooper. I'm not sure he's surviving his wife and the 2 babies, but, they hit some rock over there. You know, Bernier and Laris has a man on site that monitors the job, because the contingency on the budget was 15,000 for the added, hammering of the rocks. And the rock's been going like this, so they'll dig some and then they'll hit rock and have to hammer. So it is what it is. We live in a land of rock. I did go over and I took the supervisor over with me over to Hillside and Orchard and showed him what my thoughts were over there. And I know that Dennis has gotten us a preliminary map, I think, for, did he get us a preliminary map yet? I think.
That's it.
No, that was a Wildwood.
That's why what he gave us.
Yeah, so he's working on the Hillside Orchard preliminary map. I think we're gonna need 4 easements on that one. I spoke to all the people. I think they're all on board because they're all being affected adversely by the water that's coming down off of, you know, Mountain View and off Zandhook. Getting a lot of water off of Zandhook. So, I don't think we'll have a problem with easements on that. And then, once we get that, we'll bring it to the board. I'd like to do that one in-house to save money. The other thing that I
Like
want.
on that one, I know the county has plans on Sandhook. Are we making sure that we're on board with what they're doing? Like, I don't want us to spend a bunch of money and then they do something on Sandhook.
Their water's not going anywhere different than where it's going right now.
Okay, all right. I just want to be sure that we don't
I'd like it to.
do something on over there and then they do something on Sandhook and then we go, oops, now we need to spend another 400 grand.
I'll get you up early one morning. I'll take you over there and show it to you. So you see. You're not a really person like me. But I know I'd like to show it to you one day when you're around, just so you have a good grasp. They're coming down Zandhook, makes a sharp turn at Hillside.
Yeah.
Goes in about 50, 70 feet and then makes another sharp turn, goes through Nan Pepper's yard under her driveway and then comes out onto Hillside again, goes down along Hillside and there's pipes underground pieced together that we were supposed to do. Would we get those easements 5 years ago, 4 years, 5? And then it joins and goes underneath Hillside again and goes down along Hillside a little ways and shoots to the right and goes through the 3 pieces of pipe that cost 25,000 and then goes through an open ditch over to Orchard. But all the rest of the water, some of the water from Zambuk is overflowing that ditch, so that ditch needs to be cleaned out. I don't know if I want to pipe that ditch or just leave it as an open ditch to shoot over to Orchard. But then the plan was to put, perforated pipe drain down through the backyards, bring it over and go down and hit our other crossover on Orchard to try to alleviate the water that's in the backyards of the homes over on Orchard. So I think there's 6 affected homes, 5 or 6 affected homes over there.
We had these installed.
I think 6. So,
We don't have these, no, we don't have these.
No, but he said he doesn't, not problem getting it.
No, I'm just saying.
Right now, we don't have it.
Right.
but you know, when somebody can't flush a toilet, take a shower because the drain field's not functioning because it's getting flooded out.
Yeah.
I think we need to do something.
Can you give us an update on Wildwood, where are we with that?
Wildwood is going out. I think, that's
When-
going
when-
out to bid, and you guys will probably get the bids back sometime in May. And, that should move forward. And, unfortunately, Mr. Pappas down over the hill on, Bird Street Extension didn't live long enough to see that, project come to fruition. I know that I spoke with him for many, many years. He gets the brunt of it because he's over the hill. You go down Wildwood and you were gonna go straight through the woods. He lived at the base on First Street Extension, and all that water came through his backyard. And for years, it had done a little zigzag through his yard and went out on the road. Unfortunately, he didn't get to see that project come to fruition, but we'll get it done for him. We'll look down on us and say thank you for his family. And otherwise, we're continuing to prep roads for paving. May 13th, we're planning on doing the catch basin and pipe at 375 and Pine Street. I put it up on update page. We will close the road off for hopefully only 2 days to get that in. The state's going to work with us to run traffic control. We're going to do all the work, digging and everything, but the state will run traffic control for us, shutting down a lane at 375 while we do the project. So we'll work together with them. And I want to thank Dave Corrigan and Jesse Dunn for helping us on that. And we have another pipe that we're going to put in on Laurel Lane and 28, which they're also going to give us a commit for. What else we have going on? Like I said, we've been cutting a lot of the shoulders on the roads, prepping for paving. Looks like this year the first road we're going to pave will be Rosa Lane. We're going to probably the first or second week, probably the second week of June, we're looking at right now, tentatively for paving Rosa. And possibly that same week, High Rocks Road, we can get the cul-de-sac up there cleared through. So,
Mike, I have one question slash observation that when these other drainage projects get going, there needs to be communication with the community, with the neighborhood. They started that project, it's like they started it on Monday and up until Friday.
we remember though, that's not a highway project, that's a town board
I
project.
understand, but I mean, it's gonna run into the same problem because at some point you're gonna be dealing with the notifications.
We always notify people before, if, pamphlets that we put out. We did notify everybody in the neighborhood after the trees started. Charlie went around and put notices out for everybody on Wayside and
No.
Woodland.
No.
Everybody got them.
No, it didn't come to my house.
We put them in everybody's mailbox.
No. That only documentation that came in almost 2 days or 3 days before these guys started.
Right.
Well, that's not,
We didn't,
the point I'm trying
it's
to make
not,
here.
again, it's not a highway project, Greg, it's a town board project.
Okay, so
So don't put it on me.
no,
It has to go.
the
to
reason why I'm
engineers and to
the reason why I'm bringing it up, Mike, is because as we kind of move along, these projects are going to be big projects.
Oh, yeah. Well, we always notify people when we're doing our projects, but again, that was something that should have been done with the board and the engineers and the public information officer. That I came in at the end and I put a notice out there after I heard that they started and the trees were down. But again, you gotta understand the difference between a stormwater project and a highway project.
I understand.
So it doesn't lay at the feet of the highway department.
And look, I would just say to you guys and to you, whenever you have that kind of thing, make sure it lands on my desk, and I'm glad to share it. I do copy stuff from the updates page every now and then, but I may miss
So I
something.
don't always get everything on the update page.
Right, but
You
email
got
me
there before me on.
on the speed hump, but email me, call me, I'm more than happy to do it.
It's not a blame, it's an observation. And what I'm trying to make sure is that as these things go along, there's proper communication.
Yeah, we always write up pamphlets when we go out, or sheets that we go out and we either go door to door or we put them in their mailbox and alert people that, like, we'll do that for Pine Street as well. We told
Mike,
everybody.
for the clerk's office, how would we know when a project is going to be started? In order to,
The engineer is the one that finds out. The engineer should alert the town board.
but the bids don't
So when the
necessarily,
bids come in,
right, the bids don't necessarily have to start date, they don't
no,
have to
whoever
start date.
wins the bids.
Right, should be-
Eligible to notify the town
Right,
when they can
so-
start that process.
So there should
And
be,
that's,
so that should be in the bid packet and the notification should be
Yes.
followed up, so.
Because there's so much dislocation, and so much upheaval that takes place when these projects start. It's, I mean, we really have to be communicating with the neighborhood.
Also,
That's the point.
I'm not disagreeing, I'm just asking how I find out, so that if the clerk's
Yeah.
office has to be involved, or we're getting phone calls, and what's the process so that we can, so theoretically, Dennis's office is involved in all of these?
On the stormwater projects, Dennis is,
Okay, so I'll reach out to
Involved
Dennis's
with the town
office
board.
and get a schedule.
So like
And
when
we're
they-
getting communication going back and forth, so we have advance notice that can notify the residents,
Yeah.
okay?
because I didn't even have any idea that they were gonna go down and start.
No, that's what I'm saying,
Well, I'm saying, I was notified the day it started.
That's right. That's
That's
exactly.
when I was notified.
That's exactly.
And then,
who's that? Who's that? Who you stating?
Contractor, yes.
I'm stating like Dennis Larry, I was never notified as to when the project was started. I was told.
I'm just saying, I will reach out and.
I know,
set
I'm
up
saying,
a-
I was notified the day of by Dennis Larry that this project is starting.
And that's because I spoke to him about it, that nobody knew.
Well, we'll make sure, like, someone
But going forward, I mean, this is
I'm
really.
willing to put the notices out and alert people as long as I am alerted, I didn't even know they were taking the trees down the week before. It's just a little bit of communication between the engineering and the.
Okay,
and the
I'll call Brianna.
All right, any updates on, the speed humps on Joy's Lane? You have the,
It's in.
I know it's in, I know. You have the speed sign there already.
Everything's in, the signs are in.
Did they go up in the air when they went over the speed bump and figure out that?
Well, here's the thing, the program didn't update until this morning. We programmed it yesterday when we put the, speed sign out. And because services down there is spotty, as we all know. It finally hooked up this morning, so we didn't get any report until lunchtime. And one car went down Joy's Lane and hit. I have the speed bump is here, you're coming across the speed bump. I don't have the sign pointing out here, I have the sign pointed like this, so it catches the speed, when you're going over the speed hump, so we can get good traffic data. Somebody went over that speed hump at 63 miles an hour.
I want to say something. You and I went over that speed hump at 15 miles an hour,
15,
and we bottomed out almost. 63 miles an hour.
it wasn't smooth, let's put it that
No.
way.
you take home.
I would love, I might put a game camera down there that takes short 10-second video snippets to see, but I'm guessing some kid going to college figured he'd try to get airborne or something, I want to know.
I must have done.
63 miles an hour on Joy's
I
Lane.
think I did it less than 10
We need to
yesterday.
get a sheriff deputy down there and we need to enforce our signage and our speed limits. It's the only way we're gonna do it. We can do all kinds of things without enforcement. We're kind of dead in the water, so. But as the reports keep going, I'll get some of the reports down to the town board so they can, get an idea of what the speeds are going over the speed hump, so we get more data. Okay. But I was floored when Michelle told me the speed that the person went over. the speed hump. We laughed, but it's not fair. When somebody's walking a dog or they got the kid with a stroller, because people are down there all the time, walking their babies in strollers and little bicycles and, I mean, it's just,
But that was one incident, the 63 miles. How about the other incidents?
I didn't look at the whole report yet. We only had for today, from once from, I don't know, it was from like 7, 8 o'clock, but rebooted and connected to the internet. So we'll download it. I'll try to download it daily. Tomorrow morning, I'll try to download it and I'll send everybody the report.
Thursday. Okay. All right, any other questions for Mike? Thank you, Mike. All right, next up on the new business is town clerk hours.
Oh, can I say one last thing? On the agenda that you have about the piece of property on Altamont,
Yes.
just make sure that there's a 50-foot right of way. 25% of the roads, the town has the buffer for the right of way. If you're gonna do something with it.
All right, town clerk discussion.
Town closed. All right, we're ready. We are catching up. We're moving forward. We have vouchers. We're not yet at the point where we have the abstract, but those hopefully will be coming shortly. We are getting things into the system. We had a total of $46,196.96 in revenue that came through the clerk's office in March. Of that, the bulk is $37,129, which was from building permits and searches. So hope that continues. We need to stay on a very productive cash track.
Great. All right, financial committee, we have, at the last board meeting, we spoke to Greg Simpson, Councilperson Greg Simpson, and Councilperson Tim Lewis, Tim Kelly. I have given both your names and contact numbers to John Quigley. He will be in touch with you.
Jim Quigley?
Jim Quigley. I get it straight. I get it straight, Tim Kelly. All right, and the thing is though that he has requested that you will get all the financial statements first from him. And to overview, to look it over, and then to report back to the board. So he'll be in touch with you very shortly on that kind of thing. I spoke to him this morning, and so I gave him all the information. Okay. Good. All right, Tracy, do you want to talk about the policy of the coupon book? The transfer station?
Yes, thank you. I was gonna say, you passed me off so fast. I was, so my office would, and the bookkeeping office would like to recommend that we institute a policy where checks and credit cards are used to purchase the coupon book. If somebody comes in and has $12 worth of disposal fees that they need to pay, then that would be fine. But that if somebody's come, but that basically we sell only the coupon books and not take other charges. It's become very cumbersome for the office. The record keeping is difficult. My preference, I mean, the $12 or so was something that a couple of the board members have discussed. My preference would be that we only sell in coupon books. So that would be $10 increments. And the reason for that is that the number of transactions and the overhead costs are substantial. And it's much easier also for us from a record keeping standpoint to be able to track revenue coming in versus coupons that have been sold. And we're really trying to get a good handle on tracking the dollars. And so that makes our lives much simpler.
And Tracy, you're talking about also the fees for the, running the credit card, like if somebody goes up there with an 80-cent bag of trash.
Right.
We're incurring 20 cents worth of fees on an 80-cent bag of trash.
No, actually, we're probably incurring closer to 30 to 35 cents
Okay.
on that. So but also labor, from a labor standpoint. Right. And so if we have those anyway, so I recommend that we only sell coupons.
I think that
We still take the credit card and checks, but they have to be purchasing coupons.
But if you only can do the coupon book, you can't say, well, if they have $12.
No, that's what I'm saying. My recommendation is that we
You
just
have
selling
to
the
do all
coupon.
of it or none of it type of thing. You can't be like making them doing it.
No, that's why I'm saying my recommendation is that we only do coupon books sale and not anything in between.
And is that something that we have to make a motion for, or?
Well, we'd have to have a resolution.
Yeah, and so I would, and what I would do is, if we're doing that, we would make it effective you know, I would suggest May 1st.
Okay.
Well, resolution then for this meeting or for?
No, actually,
No.
sorry. So I'll draft it for the first meeting in May.
In May.
Okay.
Yeah, so, yeah, we could go to June 1st, that's fine.
That could be June
And
first.
that way they can, they get them on the posting, which is what I talked to them about, actually, use their posting section.
Okay, I'm sorry, I don't usually ask questions, so what you're trying to do is get rid of direct credit card payments at the transfer station?
Yeah, people can use credit card or checks, but they will only be buying coupons with those credit cards.
As
or checks.
opposed to just paying for your disposal that
Right.
day?
Right, like if you pay 80 cents for one bag of trash, that we incur 35 cent fee.
Makes no sense.
It just, we're actually then asking other taxpayers probably to incur part of the cost.
But we're, and we're also trying to ensure that the money coming in and the money going out and the coupons that are sold are
I bring it up
matching. And
because,
so it's an impossible.
I bring it up because there was a lot of public upheaval last year that fell to me to keep clarifying about ways to pay and how you pay.
Right.
So let's just, I just want to get the word out in ample time if we're changing.
That's why, I
And if you want, and if you want to buy it with cash,
you still have to come to the office here.
Okay, so in the descriptions, like, say I go up once, and I just have some things that I want to start over for the town transportation. But I don't install 10 poles, so just I'm at 10 bucks.
You said it for next time?
No, that's just the only thing I'm just trying to, you know.
Yeah, I
yeah,
don't
well,
know
like,
who goes up
for example, I went up there the other day with a whole pickup load.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah, right.
People come to the town.
I went up there with a whole pickup load the other day, and it was $35. So I would have the breakage,
So that'd be 40.
right, I'd have to pay 40, and I'd have the $5 of breakage, but I would retain that.
And come back the next
The
time.
next time I come back, I would have to use it.
But he's saying it was only one
Potentially,
person. Okay,
because
yeah.
I remember when people would come up when it started the process. Well, I don't come every week. I might
Sounds the
not
next
use
guy
all
behind,
this.
sounds the next guy behind it.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's fine. Okay.
When they stopped taking cash up there, I bought a whole bunch of them, and I actually sold some to some people. Like on the first days of January, I was up there.
Scalp.
Well, that's right.
Yeah, same price.
Yeah.
No scalp.
June 1st.
June 1st, yes. Yeah, one last thing, going back, Tracy.
Yep.
Town clerk hours. You had,
Well, let's put that on hold at the moment, because as all of you know, I now have to replace again 2 deputy clerks, not because they don't like me, but they're moving to Albany. So next week we will be interviewing again. So if anybody in listening in Radio Land or online hears this, we're looking for applications for part-time clerks.
Jim, you posted that online?
I have not. Nobody has said that to me officially.
Yeah, looking for part-time clerks.
2 deputy clerks. Let's talk tomorrow. I just want to talk about what the pay is and give you pay number of hours.
Yeah.
And actually, I might personally know someone who's interested who lives in Hurley. Okay. I'll put her in your direction.
All right. All right, next up here is the mowing RFP. All right, we got it attached here, which is the mowing RFP. Is there a need for us to read it? We have,
We need to read that in the record, Matthew?
Yeah.
if we have the record. All right, so this has been posted also on the website and on Facebook, and we already have one. We already have one submission.
But we don't open it, right, till May 3rd, we open all of them together?
Yeah, yes. All right. Okay. All right, next one is the sale of parcel. And we just get the information here. This came from, okay, this came from Andrew Constant, and the letter, he wrote the following things. I hope this letter finds you well. My name is Andrew Constant, and I'm writing to express my interest in purchasing the land adjacent to 115 Altamont Drive, specifically parcel 55.11-3-15. My family and I moved into the area in January of 2023.
You don't have to read the whole thing.
So short, well,
Yeah, I
Do
mean,
we own that property? Like,
we own that
why,
property.
why would
he
we?
wants to purchase a piece of town property.
Well, what it
It has
was-
a lot of trees that are
Right.
endangering his house.
What it is basically, this property was bequeathed to us. I'm not sure, I have the deed over here and everything, but anyway,
It was bequeathed back in 1985. The town has not utilized it, so we're basically just holding it in propriety, but we don't have a public use that.
How much?
We have
how much
for-
property is it?
it's like 3/4 of an acre.
Yeah, it's less than an acre, and there is a large utility easement across it for, the Hurley Water Company, and I think electric utility as well. You know, before you consider selling it, there are definitely, you know, a lot of things that the board needs to show. One, we need to get it appraised, full market value, and, basically, we need to, you know, basically identify whether there is a potential purpose that the town would have for this property, and if not, you know, is there any other reason why the town would need to hold on to it? If the town does want to move forward with selling the property, any sale of property will have to go to a referendum. Because it is real property that is owned by the town, so in addition to, potentially, approving the sale, it will have to be done, so if you wanted to get it on the next, election, it will have to be done.
Very quick, yes. All right, I've already, I have a real estate person that's willing to send that to have an appraisal, the property appraised. All right, so I will speak to the person tomorrow about having this.
Then we'll pay it.
Then we have to.
That should be as long as. And then done, so by November.
Oh, we have to get it in by, I think it's
That's
August.
what I mean, so we're,
I think
we're,
August.
by November, do
Yes.
everything that we can.
Okay. All right, resolutions. Okay, and this is the opposed delivery rate increase by Central Hudson. We'll read this, and I want you to be, just to let you know, this is a resolution that's passed around through all the towns. We just filled in our name to it, though. This is opposed, and what's also happening here is that Jen Metzger, you know, has also taken action, and then the letter. So again, this is a resolution opposing delivery rate increases by Central Hudson Gas and Electric Corporation. I move it. All right, whereas Central Hudson Gas and Electric Corporation, Central Hudson, has applied to the New York State Public Service Commission for increases in its electricity delivery rates and its natural gas delivery rates effective July 1st, 2024. And whereas Central Hudson seeks a rate increase for electric delivery charges that would result in an estimated increase of $30.12, which is a 31.9% increase on the delivery bill, or 16.4% increase on the total bill, for an average residential consumer using 600 kilowatt hours per month. And whereas Central Hudson seeks a rate increase for gas delivery charges that would result in an increase of $30.13, which is 29.2% increase in the delivery bill, or 19% increase of the total bill for an average residential consumer using 780 CCF per year. And whereas the increase proposed by Central Hudson, if approved, would also lead to similar increases for small businesses. And whereas Central Hudson is a regulated transmission and distribution utility serving approximately 309,000 electric customers and 84,000 gas customers in the Mid-Hudson River Valley, including the town of Hurley. And whereas customers in a typical home or small business will be experiencing increases in electric and natural gas delivery bills at the time when many are continuing to experience extraordinary financial hardship due to inflation. And whereas Central Hudson's area of service includes the town of Hurley, and Central Hudson's proposed rate increases will cause unnecessary hardship for residents of the town of Hurley, particularly those with fixed or limited incomes, as well as placing an additional financial burden on the town taxpayers as the town-owned facilities are served by Central Hudson. And whereas the proposed rate increases will place additional economic strains on on small businesses and employers in the town of Hurley and discourage economic development and recovery. And whereas Central Hudson customers have faced additional stress and financial difficulty due to the utilities building problems, which are being investigated by the New York Public Service Commission under case 22-N-0645, and which have led to the PSC to order Central Hudson to show cause why the commission should not commence a proceeding to examine the prudence of the utilities expenses and or a civil penalty action and or an administrative penalty pursuant to Public Service Law section 25 and 25A for apparent violations of the public service laws and regulations adopted thereto. And whereas upon consideration, the town of Hurley board finds that such rate increases will place an undue financial burden on residents, businesses, and local governments, including the town of Hurley, and discourage further commercial and industrial development in our region. Therefore, be it resolved that the town board of the town of Hurley does hereby oppose the rate increases for delivery of electricity and natural gas in which Central Hudson Gas and Electric Corporation has applied, and be it further resolved that certified copies of the resolution be delivered by the town clerk to the Honorable Michelle I. Phillips, Secretary to New York State Public Service Commission, the Honorary Patrick Ryan, Representative of the 19th District, the Honorary Kristen Gillibrand, U.S. Senator from New York, the Honorary Charles Schumer, U.S. Senator of New York, the Honorary Jen Metzger, also County Executive and the Chief Executives of the surrounding municipalities, served by Central Hudson, and be it further resolved, this resolution will take effect immediately. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So be it. Okay. This is a resolution now. Resolution, become a Hurley Heritage Society 50th anniversary sponsor.
So whereas 2024 marks the 50th anniversary of the founding of the Hurley Heritage Society, and whereas the Hurley Heritage Society is an all-volunteer organization and seeks public support in order to maintain and upkeep the museum, and whereas the silver sponsor will be included at all Hurley Heritage Society 2024 events with name, logo, including special 50th anniversary display banner exhibited at all events in the museum, sponsorship recognition on the Hurley Heritage Society website, sponsorship recognition in the 50th anniversary brochure, sponsor recognition in the 2024 prologue newsletters and recognition and event announcements. Therefore, be resolved by the town board of the town of Hurley to become a silver sponsor for the Hurley Heritage Society for $1,000.
Is there a second? I second it.
So,
Any discussion?
yes. Where would this kind of come from?
I'm sorry.
I apologize.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with this, but just where is it coming from? What fund are we going to use?
Any idea, John?
So you have really just one fund, which would be your celebrations fund. That would be the only fund I would feel that would be growing with this. We have 1,500 in here, but we also have our Memorial Day. We have some other things that go on. We utilize that fund line. You could potentially ask the historian if he'd be willing to give up his contractual line on this, which is $1,200 in there. If he'd be willing to do so. Okay. We do give them. They usually request $1,000 a year. Annually, we do that.
This is the Heritage Society.
Yes, the town always gave that money. I have not seen that request. Usually it comes in writing. And that's usually budgeted. That's annual. Something of this nature normally would have been presented to the town for budgeting for the previous year.
Did we budget it last year for that, since we said we do it every year?
I do remember seeing that letter, but that's the 23. Those funds being allocated. However,
But did you put it in the budget for 2024?
I wasn't part of that process. I just saw that it was paid out. I didn't see them submit a letter for the new
This is a different, this
This is all different. though.
Yeah, this is
Totally
not,
not
this is
that.
different. This is
Okay.
that.
This is the question then. I guess the thing is, can we then, look, like, if we use the 1,000 out of celebrations to say yes to this now, can we find $500 or 1,000 to refill celebrations so that we have enough hot dogs in the hamburger on Memorial Day?
I think we can.
No, I mean,
Does everybody feel comfortable doing something like that?
the only question,
They do so much for Hurley Society.
no, it's not the, I have no problem at all with supporting this, right? The question is, where's the money gonna come from? And so long, Henry doesn't come with.
It's
I mean,
it's a protocol thing. It's just,
Yeah.
you're setting precedents that you really shouldn't be establishing. But people just walk in and ask for money for sponsorship.
Yeah, this is a
Normally not
sponsorship.
something that the town would do or said without budgeting. And that's just my 2 cents.
And I would agree and second that from my history in the role. What you would do or could do is to ask, I mean, I know you can ask board members, you can ask employees, you could take out, you could do something where the town takes it out, but you get people to sponsor and you do like you can sign a little box or whatever your ad is, for it to come out of the.
Well, we normally give that money each year.
That's an operational, this is a different, that's
That's
what
what
I.
But
That's an
it's,
ask.
we have to ask for it, so it'll still be the same kind of budget. They happen to be having a 50th anniversary this year. Like normally it would be a sponsorship, but they don't have a
They
50th
usually ask for
anniversary.
$1,000 grant.
Right. we-
I haven't seen
It's not a 50th anniversary every year.
Exactly, this is the one time.
No, we understand that. So the only issue that I'm bringing up is that we know that there's all kinds of gymnastics going on in the accounts.
Can I ask, when is the 50th anniversary?
Hold on, Tracy, wait. So this is the issue is, how are we going to deal with the financing of this?
So no, all I was gonna ask was, sorry, and I apologize, because I should not have interrupted you, was if this is not, if they don't need the money next month, then we can have another month to look at the budget and see what it is.
For May.
Oh, okay, so I apologize.
May is next 2 weeks.
Well, that's why, in other words, Tracy was gonna say, can we extend it a month? But no, we can't because it's been, we talked about it when you weren't here, last week.
Yeah, last time.
Right.
He was here.
No, he wasn't. He was,
Yeah, West Shirley Firehouse.
Yeah, but that was a presentation.
oh, okay.
We hadn't resolved.
This was given out to this was in the packet.
Yeah,
To be read, right? Yeah.
right. So we're now discussing this. I know I'm raising my issue
Okay.
with it, which
Right.
is how do we move the money around that makes it not.
I mean, we moved a lot more money around for other pet projects.
It's just figuring out how to move the money around. And
This is only 1,000, that means 20.
that's not a pet project. That was already budgeted.
So let's focus on what's before the board and not get off track.
I can tell you why, let me just, like, here's an issue that this didn't need done. We budgeted last year for $20,000 for green money.
Well,
I know. We just got word today that the county is gonna reimburse us $10,000.
right. So that's another issue, but we don't want to go there.
But it's the same
point-
type, you're raising the same kind of an issue.
But let's focus, so.
Where was it budgeted last year for Greenway?
Let's not talk about that. What we want to talk about right now is that this is a sponsorship.
Right?
And that's, a sponsorship hasn't been put in our budget for 2023. If it was put in our budget for 2023, this is not a problem. Now we have to figure out how to do this, that we don't run into any kind of problems over $1,000 procedurally. That's the question that I'm raising.
Do we have it in celebrations right now?
Yes.
And then we could authorize it, money transfer from one line to another to add to celebrations? We can do that. Budget's a living document.
Yes. The problem with that is when you start doing that, then I think when you start budgeting for the following year, your red lines now are becoming a little more misconstrued, and you don't have real numbers to go by. I have no problem doing that. I'll just keep it negative until the end of the year.
Well, that's illegal.
No, it's
No,
not.
no, it's,
No, it's not.
For a fund line?
Yeah, no, it's not.
No, the.
I sat for a training and said that otherwise.
Yes, the state does want you to, like, if I can do it within the next month, and I can allocate funds, but now you're moving fund lines from fund line to fund line to fund line. It just makes it much more difficult to then read that, to allocate for the next year's budget, so you know what should be going into that. Now, with that being said, if you guys definitely go to a vote, it's there. And then we can figure out how much is gonna be donated. It doesn't come to $500, I don't know. The other line would be recreation, and, once I give the libraries their grant monies, we're only gonna have $500 in there as well. We've really been.
I'm happy to support this,
Yeah.
but the only clarification I would need is how is it going to be accounted?
You have to put that in resolution.
Exactly. So, and I'm not sure if are we prepared to do that? Do we need to go back to John?
No, I mean,
John,
you can vote in the celebration.
You can amend it.
So we can do it.
we can do it now.
We can amend these resolutions,
You can amend it to add the,
Budget line.
but the budget line.
A7550.1.
What is it, budget line?
A7550.
Five.
87755.
A7550.1.
So 1 second. Okay. All right, would you like me to amend? All right, so the previous motion, we actually passed it.
Yeah. All right.
So the previous motion to accept as it is right now, without the budget line here.
Can you put it from the amendment?
Yeah, make a motion, to make it pass it as amended.
As amended.
As amended, right. To make a motion that passes as amended, which is from budget line A7550.1, and this is for $1,000.
I'll second that.
Any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So we make sure. Okay, thank you. All right, the next one, authorize the supervisor to execute an intermunicipal agreement with the Ulster County Legislature to partially fund improvements to the West Hurley Town Hall. Now, we discussed this last week, last time here. Do I first have to review? I have to read the resolution first? Okay. Resolution to authorize supervisors to execute an intermunicipal agreement with the Ulster County Legislature. Whereas the Ulster County Legislature has a resolution number 289, amending and funding capital project 635 in the amount of $2 million to create a program to partner with Ulster County municipalities and match up to 50% of park and recreation projects with a maximum contribution of $100,000 per municipality. And whereas the Ulster County Legislature adopted resolution 601 to execute an intermunicipal agreement with Town of Hurley, the town as an American Rescue Plan Act, coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery funds, recipient to improve the West Hurley Town Park. And whereas the Ulster County and town desire to enter into an intermunicipal agreement where the town will be recipient of $80,000 of SLFRF, therefore be resolved by the town board of the Town of Hurley to authorize the supervisor to execute the intermunicipal agreement with the Town of Hurley to partially fund improvements to the West Hurley Town Park. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, any discussion?
But it's just gonna get to let them know that it's a matching fund.
This is a matching fund. I spoke,
You were right there.
yeah, it was a matching fund, and what this is basically is if we want the $80,000, we have to match $80,000. We have right now in our in our parks fund capital, I'm not quite sure, John, you know what capital fund that is?
61,430.
But I know the amount, but you know the numbers.
20 each.
This is capital fund 28, we have $61,000 in it. So we match up $61,000. Now also what it is, we can match up an in-kind work. Now I spoken to Mike Schultes, and he can actually do $20,000 work. We just have to work this out a little bit yet. But he can do that. Therefore, we can actually to therefore apply for the 80,000 grant that's allocated to us. Therefore, we will have basically $140,000 in this account,
160.
no, 140,000, and then 20,000 in kind surplus coming through there.
And we're gonna, what is the plan to do with this?
All right, the plan to do this thing is that we want to redo the little fields. We have to fix the tennis courts. There's a huge crack that runs the entire length of both tennis courts. And when we fix a partial crack, that alone costs $31,000. So this is going to cost a big chunk of that to do that kind of thing. We requested to put in a pickleball courts along there. The plan is, talking to Craftco, is to where the basketball courts are right now, right there, because that has to be repaid, that whole basketball court. So instead of repaving it, we put the pickleball courts there, we move the basketball courts further north on the other side of the parking lot down there, and repave it there and put the courts there. We also want to set up the soccer fields, get them going, set up the basketball courts. Also, I'm sorry, not the baseball fields. We have Little League play coming in there. We have in the fall flag football coming through there. We also need to improve the kitchen, which has major holes in it. And also, eventually, we're going to have to put in a new heating system, not heating system, a hot water heater. And then one we have right now is being band-aided, and it has to be replaced.
So it sounds like you have plenty of things that.
We have, well, put it this way, 160,000, 140,000 may not be enough.
Okay. And potentially the pickleball, basketball, can be done by the highway.
Yes, that's the in-kind, that's the in-kind.
Based on that.
Yeah, we know, for example, I've already spoken to Mike Schultz, and I spoke to Craftco, that Craftco, they will put in the pavement. We can put the pavement in, they will put the courts down there, don't do that. All right, so this is something that, let's get the park using, it's there.
So my only, I would offer a friendly amendment to include that this is matching, this requires matching funds. And also to make a statement about where the funds would come from. And also to include that there's an in-kind contribution that will be involved. So I would put that after the second part. Whereas these funds require matching, that, what is it, it's a grant?
It's a grant.
Whereas this grant requires matching funds or in-kind contributions to meet the criteria. Then go to the next step. Whereas, and to put in where it's coming from.
Capital 28.
Yeah.
Capital fund, capital accounts 28,
And
which has a total of
the
60.
town can allocate funds from
Capital 28,
capital 28.
which has right now a fund of 61,000.
Mhm.
And change that.
And in-kind contribution.
From the highway department of 20,000.
And just so I'm clear on this, so, programs, this is not the 80,000.
This is the,
This is an updated version of what they've already committed to giving us. This is
no, this is the 80,000.
This is the 80,000.
This is the 80,000. They have now asked us to, they've asked us to
They
do,
amended it to match, for matching grants now.
right, no, what they've asked us is to do a resolution of this. And then we have a county resolution that we sign also with this, to give to the county. And then, the funds are already there. They will then cut a check for us.
It's always been an action.
Yeah, Tim brought that
But
up
you need to
last.
see 80,000.
Yeah.
He brought that up at the last, and there was some misunderstanding about that.
That we, for every dollar that we receive from the county, we have to expend a
Same.
dollar, or we can do some of it in time.
Gotcha.
So we're gonna spend the 61 basically. We're using.
Right. Oh, no. Correct.
Well, no, we'll get,
No.
Mike puts in 19, we can get 80.
We'll get 80.
That's right, I got it, yeah.
Because we
Now,
the bill that on the way.
Right, we can, they'll pay.
So my issue is just to make sure that that's in the resolution, so when you send it to,
Will you do me a favor?
Yeah.
Well, can you give that, Tracy? Can you get this, this is the resolution that was amended.
I know, I've got all of the notes,
You got
I'm just having the discussion about that $20,000 that you and I have been talking about. It's, when highway says they can do in kind, general fund still has to pay highway.
Right.
It's not, you can't,
Right, but we'll get the 80,000 from this grant and we can pay back the general fund.
no,
No.
it's matching. It's a matching grant. So even though, I mean, this is my, I mean, somebody else
We're gonna
getting
give it
you.
61?
That money will just go
No,
to
we're
like
getting 80,
19.
we get 80,000. We get 80,000. We have to match.
You have to pay highway $19,000.
And that's gonna come out.
Oh, I see.
So the question again goes, where's your extra $20,000 right now?
Where does the 20,000 to pay the highway?
All right, well,
We have to pay the highway.
we have to pay the highway.
Doesn't come from this.
Well, no, because there's only 61 in,
No, we need the highway budget.
No, it doesn't, you can't cross. Highway budget is highway budget, general fund is general fund.
So
So
what
it's
happens,
not way-
so what happens is once the vouchers come in for Mike, you can pay it through the.
28 is gonna be out.
No, we'll have to allocate it so that it's not out.
Right.
We'll have to
You have to
allocate that
increase.
first.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing.
You can pay the vouchers from the 28.
but in order to get 80,000, we have to have it.
Exactly, correct. That's the point.
So the point is,
What I'm trying to say is you still have to come up
I
the point
got
is, where the 20,000 coming from?
I
Yeah,
got
coming out of the highway. If you can't come out, that's coming out of the general.
How long do we have?
So what happens?
How long do we have? We have
We
2
have,
years.
Well, that's right, that's a good question, which is what I was gonna, because
I have to look at the,
Because if it crosses a budget year, then you can allocate for your 2025 budget, the $20,000 to.
Expenditures on that, yeah. My question is for the municipality to match up to 50% of the park and recreation project to maximize contributions of 100,000, which is only 50,000.
when I spoke to Nate Whitman.
Right, but they're giving a maximum of 100.
The contribution.
We're only getting 80, we're not getting.
We're not getting 100,000.
No,
We're
their
getting 80.
maximum contribution is.
We're getting an $80,000 match, so we gotta put up 80. Then for us to do.
What you could have got with the 100, but we're only getting 80.
No, is
So that was it.
So that's what was allocated.
It is a time sensitive thing. I just have to look at the contract. I will,
Well, then we might want to be requesting that in our resolution for them to extend that.
if you want me to, I'll go, I can get the contract. right
Yeah, I
now.
mean, listen, that's what it's for.
Okay.
No, I mean, you don't have to,
Yeah,
you're gonna
let's-
have to get back to them. You can vote on this.
Right.
And move forward, but they have to extend that.
Well, we might have to put additional monies into,
Right, or you have to.
We have to
give
put
it out.
we have to put additional money to the 28 account.
Right,
but if we have 2 years to do it, we can fund it in next year's budget. And then,
All we're requesting is an extension on the allocations of monies to be dispersed.
right, on your matching
2025.
component that you.
We would potentially, we want it to go through to the fall of 2025. Let's
So we're
say.
gonna say basically, we're gonna add some money this year, add some money next year to that.
yeah, we're just saying we're gonna fund it out of that account.
We're not gonna do all these projects anyway.
But
No, no, I'm just-
can you check right now that we have multiple years
It's not
to
gonna,
do
it's
this?
not gonna be anything.
Yeah.
Well, we can approve this. Well, we have to-
You can approve it, and you can approve the resolution
Yeah.
pending funding this portion in fiscal year 2025.
Okay.
Yeah, because I do believe they're out, our money's up.
I think it's 20,
I think
That
it's
is you
this
have
year.
to-
no,
Half of it was this year, the other half is 20.
I think, wait,
Right, that's what I'm saying, that's.
Oh,
what-
That is,
That's true. We might
That's
have
not a
it.
problem.
That's right.
we don't want to go there.
Right, right.
Tracy,
Yes,
do
sorry.
do you
We
have,
want to go there, but
Tracy, do you have an amended resolution?
Yeah, where the requires matching funds and whereas the town can allocate $61,000 out of capital fund 20H and from in-kind contributions of $20,000 from blank. So because I keep raising, so.
okay, now we're saying basically,
Well, no, but for the problem is the in kind, it's not an in kind contribution.
Well, no, it still is in, So
From the
there's,
county's eyes, it's in county,
because we're doing the work
internal.
as opposed to
with
town.
town.
Oh, okay, all right.
We're paying the highway.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Yeah.
But so then I would continue to add, at in kind, you know, and shall, if necessary, be funded in the 2025 budget.
Right.
Which shall be funded.
So I will speak to, Nate Litwin tomorrow and give him this before we sign the, agreement, saying that we're gonna fund this in 2025.
Right, if needed, I mean, it may
We'd
be
like it extended into 2025, so that we can use the other.
Because all these projects here, you know, like, for example, we can't do anything on the tennis courts yet until the crack is fully cracked.
I would put it back on our table. This was supposed to be allocated last year. They're still kicking the can down the road to give the 80, and now we're finding out that it's a matching fund, and now they want this resolution. So they, in all honesty, they should give you an extension just based on.
I have
the process.
That's an extension.
So so the motion on, can we just vote right with the amended?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. All in favor? Any opposed? All right. So what I will do tomorrow, I will speak to Nate Litwin and let him know, and I'll sign their resolution. All right, send it back to them, and I will tell Nate Litwin that, the 20,000 in time is going to be, we want an extension into 2025, since we have not budgeted this year. Is that?
I mean, worst case scenario, you're just not going to get 7,000.
Right. I know.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, next one, resolution to appoint members of the Recreation Board.
Resolution 41. Who's
Okay.
making this motion?
Diana, again, she's with you.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay, I'll make the motion. And I'll read the resolution. Whereas the town is approved the startup of the Recreation Board with appointing John Perry as Recreation Director and Councilperson Diana Adriana as Town Liaison. And whereas the town board has to appoint volunteer residents as members to create said board, and whereas the town has advertised for multiple months on the town website during town board meetings requesting volunteers, and whereas the volunteer residents that have requested to be on the Recreation Board are as follows: Patrick Zell, Andrew Zell, Jim Quigley Jr., Thomasina Citron, and Andrew Constant, for a term of 3 years, starting on May 1st, 2024, and ending on April 30th, 2027. Therefore, be it resolved by the town board of the town of Hurley to approve the appointment of Patrick Zell, Andrew Zell, Jim Quigley Jr., Thomasina Citron, and Andrew Constant for a term of 3 years to the town of Hurley Recreation Board.
Is there a,
Second, anybody?
I will.
all right, any discussions?
Yeah, I just have one question. In terms of Jim Quigley, he's an employee of the town. Is that any way
No,
issue?
not a problem, you already asked.
Matt, you don't see any?
Well, it's not a board that actually.
The volunteer
Yeah,
policy.
and it's not like the planning board.
Yeah.
Just, but that was my question.
Yeah.
And then my question is there any interest in staggering these terms so that we don't,
I still need 2 more members, and once I get those 2 members, then I'll let you
I
decide.
gave you a name. Did you call that guy? Shapiro, that comes here.
Julian Shapiro?
Right, he said he would be on. Or he would like to be on.
I have another resolution for you next. Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Thank you, John, so much.
Yeah, and I'll, establish a meeting, for the year, for the, once a month. And then, moving forward, I'll have some updates for both yourself and the town website. But I do have some things to talk about, but I'll talk about it.
Okay, this next resolution to appoint a new member of the zoning board, this came from, Debbie Dougherty. Even though she's not here, I can, to be moved. All right. This is, motion moved by Debbie Dougherty.
no, what about you? Someone can't do it in
I
absence.
made, okay. Whereas based on local law, section 210-58, the zoning board of appeals should consist of 7 members, or currently a short staff of only 6 members. And whereas Karen Gill has submitted her name for consideration the open position, and whereas as ZBA Chair Josh Vogt has given his recommendation, therefore being resolved by the town board of the town of Hurley to immediately appoint Karen Gill to the zoning board of appeals to the open board position with a 5-year term to expire 12/31/2029. Based on these appointments, the full makeup of the board will now be as follows. Karen Gill, 12/31/2029. Orange Chance, term will be 12/31/2028. Karen Snyder, term 12/31/2028. Liston Freeman, term 12/31/2027. Alex Mara, term 12/31/2026. Josh Lowe, term 12/31/2025. Andrew Shapiro, term 12/31/2024.
I'll second.
All right, any discussion? There's a question, just like we do on the planning board, can we put out alternates?
Well, that would be another,
Oh, and I'm just saying, and I'm quite this, because there are a couple of people that have asked me also afterwards about, after this was written.
Yeah, I don't believe a statute has any alternates in it, so.
But we haven't.
You would have to, yeah, but you would have to.
We would have
amend
something
the
special to do
statute-
that.
Statute so that it would allow for all.
Okay,
It's already done for the.
yeah, okay. Any, discussion on, further discussion?
Second.
Second, is, all right, all in favor?
Aye.
So be it. Okay, good, good. All right, resolution to authorize supervisor to re-sign the contract with the Ulster County SPCA. Whereas the Ulster County SPCA has been operating from 2023 contract in regards to operation fees to this point in 2024. And whereas the only changes are in the fees, which increase to $25 for boarding and $85 for service calls. And whereas the contract will be in effect May 1st, therefore being resolved by the town board of the town of Hurley to authorize the supervisor to sign the contract with the Ulster SPCA. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
What was George saying that he called, that didn't want to hear about the quality of work? Was that?
I think it was the board of health. Maybe something. I don't know. He
He says,
called,
I think he said the warden, I thought it.
he said door warden. We don't have a door warden.
I don't know who he called.
the SPCA is the zone.
Well, Mike
Right,
Schultz
but I don't-
talked to him afterwards and gave him whoever the SPCA number is. And I gave him Board of Health's number because Mike gave it to
I mean,
me.
you
So,
haven't, the last violation from the SPCA was months ago.
I mean, we've been having a lot of police officers come in verifying, I mean, the animal control officers at the sheriff's have been coming in, or the state police to verify dog licenses.
I mean, we don't have a dog warden, so I don't think we have to include it. And those are not,
Definitely
those
the
are not the price.
most financially viable option.
Yeah.
The SPCA.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they're honestly, City of Kingston and the town of Hurley really enjoy what they're doing.
No, Marvel now.
And that one was, so they're not looking to take on any more, so it's pretty,
Yeah, I mean, you get housing and you.
Those are not bad fees.
and it's all reimbursed supposedly by the persons when they come.
All those in favor?
All right, yes.
All those in favor?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So be it. All right, I want to skip this up one, because I gotta find the worker's name. Oh, here it is, right there. Okay, I'm sorry. All right. Resolution to hire part-time maintenance worker. This is because our maintenance worker right now, John Herdman, gave two.
Yeah. Really bad names.
Jim Hartman.
So many Johns. All right, whereas, okay, Jim Herdman, has, submitted his resignation on, April 5th, effective tomorrow. And, the board members were notified by email that this was going on. So we actually, we interviewed today 2 people to the position, and, I know there was a comment made about the fact that we should be looking inside Hurley, but we couldn't find anybody. No one responded in Hurley. Anyway, so, sorry. Okay, so here's the, be resolved at the town board of the town of Hurley that Glenn Wyatchek.
No.
He was in Olive Bridge.
West
Oh,
Road.
I'm saying.
Oh, it just happened to be West Road address.
It's right.
Just
All Bridge.
It's an Olive
Olive
Bridge.
Bridge.
Next
Okay,
page.
Yeah, yeah.
It's Olive Bridge. All right. All right. Be resolved that by the town board, the town of Hurley that, I was gonna say John, Glenn Wyatchek is appointed to the part-time position of maintenance worker, civil service 4170, non-competitive paid at the hourly rate of $25 per hour, 20 hours a week from the fund line 8/12/20.1. Is there a second?
How much an hour are you paying?
25. At this point right now, we were paying Jim Herdman 30.
Well, you start at 25, right?
No, he started at 30.
No, Jim started with a resolution.
25? No, he started at 30.
Who seconded?
Nobody yet. I'll second it.
All right, any discussion?
Yeah, so I have just a couple of questions. So I'm not quite sure I understand how this was posted. Was this posted in compliance with all of the other things?
Yes, it was posted with, first of all, HR Visions, all right, which posts, according to what they say, they posted all the social media, and they posted on the newspapers also.
And that was posted when?
This one I did see on social.
Yeah, this was posted,
Yeah, we
this was posted, when
Yeah.
Herdman,
Jim Bergman.
when, he submitted his resignation. And, so it was posted then with HR Visions, and it was posted,
It was posted to our website and also to our Facebook page.
And how
Actually,
long,
it got a ton of traffic on Facebook, but obviously there's a lot of interest.
how long was this posted for?
About a week. I mean, it was just
this, the one in HR Visions was 2 weeks.
HR Visions was longer. We did it when I came to you and said, do you want to do it on our site also?
Yes.
So it was long, it was about a week longer on their site than on ours.
The reason why we waited a week on this, posted on our site, is that there was some, question, maybe he would not resign. And we had discussions with him, and he had to go home and talk to his wife and so forth. You know, and I asked him to give her some little more thought, more or less.
Yeah, the only question I have is whether or not it was posted for the
That's
required amount of time.
Yeah, it was posted 2 weeks.
2 weeks is the
and
required.
2 weeks from HR Visions and about 1 week from us.
So 2 weeks is the minimum amount of time that's required for posting of a
Right.
non-competitive civil service job.
Well, there was no requirement at all. There was no requirement at all.
Okay.
And the reason being, here's the thing.
Right, because it's not competitive.
Right, 2 weeks before, that's when he, gave you the resignation letter.
Yeah,
I mean, I would like to see us establish a standard protocol every time there's a vacancy in the town, that we advertise in the same type of a manner every single time, but that's not really for this.
No, but the minute we know, Samara can write up what she has in storage, a job description, and then it's very easy to do. And we'll do that for deputy clerk tomorrow.
that's not the issue, is the procedure. Whether, what's the minimum amount of time that something needs to be posted?
Right, but I think
We have to come up with that. We have to come up with that.
We have already said it now.
State for non-competitive,
For non-competitive, there's no requirement.
no,
You can make it tell. Well, you can make it
yeah,
tell.
but there should be, we're discussing certain procedures that I think that was a discussion for another day, but the town should establish uniform procedures, not just on this issue, but for several other issues.
Yeah.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
So we, and, any opposed? Okay, and, by the way, now, you have the other applicants also. Okay. All right, resolution to appoint the 2024 Memorial Day Grand Marshal. All right, be resolved by the town board of the town of Hurley to appoint Doug Amy as the 2024 Memorial Day Parade Grand Marshal in appreciation for his many years of dedicated service to the town of Hurley.
I'll second.
Second, any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we come to our final discussion of the whole business. I need to know what the board wants to do with the old library.
I want to continue letting the library use the yard, so
Well, what do we do with the building more or less? We are now using it as a storage.
Tim has a really good suggestion.
Well, we have to, put it this way, looking at, I went into the building, I went in, with, Jim. Right? And, major renovation.
You didn't know that? The people are moving there in April. You didn't know?
This is Jim Jackson.
Right. You didn't know?
Well, he knew about it and said, well, we looked at it. First thing needs to be done is the roof.
Oh, it means a lot of stuff.
But that's it, but that's, he's not.
I don't know.
When was that building built? Is the building itself a component of the historic? These are the questions. Is the building a component of the historic district?
Yes.
Okay, so then this is what I wanna,
We're not registered.
No.
it's not, and what is the age of the building? Like, what is the age of that building? I mean, I haven't been in it since,
I was there when
We
we were
moved
kids,
books.
so.
I moved books from downstairs to upstairs in a volunteer project for the library like 30 years ago.
It was there 65 years ago, so I don't know how long was that.
It's shape.
So, the problem is, you have the upstairs, which is,
It's in like,
it's not compliant for disabled.
it's in poor condition.
The heating system doesn't work, I
Yeah,
just went out of the
there's a lot of problems.
You can really only use the first floor of it because the second floor is not, right, yeah.
It's
88
right.
Second floor could only be used as storage.
Well, according to what Jim Decker would like to do is we get this thing done. You'd like the upstairs, the second
Hey,
floor.
if he wants to do it.
And suggestion was maybe have like a coffee shop down below or a welcome center to Hurley.
That'd be wonderful.
What exactly are you asking then?
What do we do with it? It's sitting there for, I mean, I don't even know how long, I don't know how long we've had this building.
Well, the
It's been
building,
vacant for about 8 years
well,
now.
since the library moved over,
Right.
the library was in it, the library rented it for.
Recent
for
times, the
$1.
library allocated funds to keep it heated and updated. Since it fully moved out, it's now the town's responsibility.
You keep the lawnmower.
Right, it's pretty much over.
Is the water
Everything is
turned off?
everything is.
Everything's starting up.
So the utilities and such, but we had a great conversation, with Peter Bucket, and I do believe Peter Bucket will help us renovate that building.
Yes.
for community.
I would love to renovate it to keep it in the town.
I
because
believe
it
it would
doesn't-
really be a great spot for
Yes.
historian. I really do.
Yeah, and
Establish
then-
tours.
So we can make the
Right,
downtown
make
for
it a welcome center.
a welcome center or for a community
We
room or
can
something.
bring
I
another
mean,
couple
that's-
offices from here, bring over there as well, upstairs.
We're first you got the scenes
There's
here.
also an overflow parking for the library, for different events, so I don't think the town should try to
So, no, I don't know.
Dispose of the property, right?
Well, all right, so I need a direction. What would you like me to do?
Well, I think to see what it would cost to renovate it, talk to, Tony about grants to renovate it. maybe.
Well, I think you probably should form a high-performing focus group to look at all the purposes that could be good for and make a recommendation to the town board. I think that would be the starting point, and then have the town board act on what that group, according to what that group says, just like what we did with the highway group.
You want to find, get a dream team?
There you go. And like, I would include Jim Jacker, like,
Yeah,
Like, he's on an historic preservation, so you should.
right,
Well, here's the thing also,
someone from the Heritage Society, because it's on that corridor, like,
well, here's the thing also, like, I had Paul, Connors look inside there. He has ideas of what needs to be done there, so maybe, even though he's not a town resident.
but it doesn't,
He would be involved in it.
yeah, he's a town employee, so he can be like,
All right. So I'm,
put a team together of people that have like either construction or historic preservation interests.
Lucy, the architecture committee, Frank Dunn.
You know, put a committee together, I would say, and then that would be, because they could come up with something nice and creative and never know, it could be the, worth of something
and
cool.
then we do a coffee shop.
Or, well, no, I said alfalfa, it would make a great alfalfa field, just knock it down. Put a
coffee shop,
put a field.
All right, so I will ask Frank Dunn, Jim Decker, and I'll find some other people. If you know of it, like, well, you're a resident. If you know of any other people that would like to join us,
I'll ask you. I see it.
How will you utilize your HPC? It's because you have architect, engineer with Scott Miller. You have Jim Decker. So you have really
Scott Miller?
Scott Miller. I believe it's, he's an engineer. He also owns a stone house.
Okay, can you give me his information?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. All right, so we have 3 there.
Yeah.
Well, what, I mean, but.
I would say 5 to 7 people, but.
Yeah.
but-
I would keep it at 5.
Yeah.
You don't want it.
I mean, I wouldn't, I don't think we have to deliberate much more about, but I think, I agree, this is the best way to go.
Yes.
Get a
Okay.
recommendation and-
Okay, all right, sounds good, sounds good.
Pick some stakeholders out of the community.
How about, do you want to be on the?
Yeah, I will work, yeah.
All right.
But, and I would suggest like a butters in, you know, like in a butter. I mean, I think Jim Decker is also in the butter, right? Or lives nearby, right?
Across the street.
Across the studios, yeah. Okay. All right, so I will make that, call. I'll kind of get them together to do the, go from there.
Okay.
Okay, all right, we're open now to, public comment. Any of you 3 want to talk?
Hello. Nope, hold on.
So you want to say? Anything?
From the recreation, I just want to add some stuff.
Anything? All right, let's right there. All right, discussion. Okay, Wendy?
You might talk about that first. Because it's not personnel, but it's.
Yeah, is that something that you want to address tonight? or-
I think we should go into executive session.
Yeah, if
Give it a
you
quick.
are, that is something.
All right, so let's do it real quick.
So take
We're
your
done.
public comment and then.
Yeah.
We need to open and close public comment.
Yeah.
So close your public comment.
I'm opening public comment on, any of you guys want to talk? Nope, I am closing public.
I'll take a motion to close the public comment.
There's
John has a
John,
question.
you want to talk under public comment?
just, yeah, I mean, this is just recreational stuff.
Yeah.
So there's a couple things. So I got the insurances. We're well set there, for the Little League. The Hurley libraries, have put forth their youth programs for reading. So primarily, most of them are going to be a joint venture, which will be, utilizing the Douglas Fields. And then they're also going to do a split locations at each location, each library. So these allocations are $1,000 each, which in the past, they've usually got about 12 to 1,400. Because of the budgeting, it's been reduced to 2,500. I told them I could give them 1,000 each, and that way at least we still have 500 for something. So, and then this way, at least they can do the bulk of their programs through that grant. And this is, so I just wanted to bring that to, that'll be a resolution for next month. That's forward. Powwow, as of right now, everything is moving forward with the powwow. The only thing that I don't think was ever established was, under the meetings, at a large event. So we have to go through, and I have to sit with zoning on that, planning board, or, the building. No, it's not. It's because there's over 400 people.
Mass gathering.
Right.
Mass
No, no.
gathering, thank you.
Right,
It
it's
has to
not,
be,
it's not sponsored.
I have to make sure that they have together exits, entrances, people working, things of that nature. So, I think it's gonna be a little more entailed than it was last year. Last year kind of got thrown together pretty quickly, it was an awesome event. Unfortunately, the weather was poor. But I do want to say that me personally, I don't feel our fields should be utilized.
No.
So when I have the discussion, well, moving forward, those are some of the things that I'm just gonna bring up, but I wanted to bring up to the attention first, that these people are all, right, 60 or the next couple of months.
Have you done any, talking to, Early Rec?
Early Rec, last I spoke to Early Rec, they were discussing their summer programs. And I have not gotten back to them about that since then. I don't know if I missed the boat or if they missed the boat. So the last meeting you guys had was,
Yeah.
you got it.
I
I think I was speaking to your wife. I spoke to your wife,
You spoke to Sarah?
Sarah.
Sarah, she's the current treasurer.
Current treasurer, okay. So I did speak to her, and, so I know that she was interested.
I just have one more thing too about, I'm on the library board, what up your name that The libraries are gonna do the senior, suit for like 6
So the
months.
libraries have offered to do the senior super.
Yes, so like October to,
No, it's kind of just.
All right, so I'll reach out.
they've got a private funder.
Okay, so you can get me the contact, because we were gonna start it.
No, I think they're gonna do it at the libraries, no?
No, it's not big enough.
So they're gonna do-
They're gonna do West Hurley, Firehouse and the Hurley Firehouse.
Are they gonna do like the firehouses? Okay.
One other question, we're getting close to Memorial Day, right, and everything, have we,
Yep, so so Memorial Day, the only last thing I have to do is the flags, order the flags. So everything else is
we
free.
have all the, parade members and so forth?
We have, all of the notices have gone out. I think we only have 4 right now, but that tends to be like a last minute thing. A lot of folks don't.
Are we getting also the Corvettes?
The Corvettes are not gonna be the issue. No, they're gonna say have a battery. So,
Have a grill to do that now?
so I have not checked it. I'm sure I have to clean it.
What about, the Reverend Stickney from the,
You should have, so usually someone sits over, we can ask Reverend Bill to come down and do.
I talk about cooking the hot dogs. You know, the reference to it.
Oh, yeah, he hasn't done that in a while.
Well, we haven't done it.
No, he hasn't done that. No, Samara and Aaron did
Well,
last
we
year.
were doing this,
But even before that.
Right,
Okay.
so I have a rec board now, hence putting it into effect this month. So we have the rec committee, I have National Honor Society, I requested 10 kids, 5 for up above, 5 for down below. We have, I have stewards, hot dogs and hot.
you should have asked, Montreal.
Yeah, for hot dogs, sings is also. I asked, if not, I have backups, I have Hannaford and I have.
You want a sound system for the event?
You have all that.
And we used to use Carl for the, cooler.
For the battery is all, that much to it. So that's what. I was using pretty good.
Yeah.
What do you have, a band?
Oh, yeah. No, we don't have a band. Smash Mouth, we can't do that.
Should we have asked, Montreal?
No, Kingston comes.
No, they
up
went
here,
out,
goes
yeah,
to,
yeah, yep, that went out, the requests went out in advance and stuff.
Kingston and Montreal?
Kingston, Dale, South.
No, Ontario goes to West Hurley. There's a different, or Woodstock, there's a different parade
Yeah.
that's closer to that.
So we asked Kingston,
Yep, they're ready to go.
and they responded?
Only 4, not them. So, like I said, it's usually last, of course we'll be there, well.
And it was just the last year too.
Yeah.
Waited for the last minute to respond.
It's the brass bit.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so,
I did it.
any
Motion to
further,
go into executive
yeah,
session.
any further discussion here? All right,
Did you close public comment?
we closed public comment. All right, now we, open up for executive session.
You can make a motion to
I make a
go into
motion to-
executive session, pursuant to Public Officers Law 105F, matters regarding the employment of a specific individual.
Lisa.
Second.
All right, all in favor, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
No, if you want to, I'll. Yeah, I'm not, I'm gonna do that.
Oh, I want to invite,
Did you put us into the parade?
John, do you want to come into the executive session?
Yeah, I'll just make sure.
I don't know, I was out, I didn't go to the last meeting.
Going so you can.
Shut down.
You wanted to do it last year?
Okay.
Matt.
Trey, you're here in the morning?
Can you just send, no motions will be made.
No motion we made. No motion, yeah.
Just so people understand.
And you were saying,